Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Harsh Suri, and it is my pleasure to welcome each one of you for this series of webinars to be conducted as a part of Head and Neck 2021, a virtual CME. Yenapoya deemed to be university in Mangalore is one of the fastest growing universities and is striving to be the forefront of top universities in India in health sciences and contributing to the healthcare sector and society. The Department of Otorhinolaryngology, Head and Neck Surgery is committed to offering you the best academic experience and extends a warm welcome to all of you. I now would like to request Dr. Vijayalakshmi Subramaniam, Head of the Department, to kindly introduce the speakers for today's session.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Otorhinolaryngology, Yenapoya Medical College, Yenapoya deemed to be University, Mangalore, and the Yen Onco Center, Yenapoya Medical College, I extend a warm and hearty welcome to one and all.
No, Dr. Vijayalakshmi, you are not audible. You are not audible.
Sir, can you hear me now?
Dr. Vijayalakshmi, you are not audible.
Sir, can you hear me now?
No, I think she had switched off, sir. Now I think she will be audible.
Volume is less.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Otorhinolaryngology, Head and Neck Surgery, and Yen Onco Center, Yenapoya Medical College, Yenapoya deemed to be University, Mangalore, it is my pleasure to extend a warm and hearty welcome to all of you who have joined us today for this virtual CME Head and Neck 2021, which we will be conducting as a series of webinars comprising of eminent speakers across the country. For today's first webinar, we have Dr. D. Nanjundappa, who is a senior head and neck oncologist presently working in the Shankara Cancer Research Center, Bangalore, with us. He will be talking on the topic difficult thyroid tumors and their management. Dr. Nanjundappa graduated from Bangalore Medical College, and after completing his DLO and MS in ENT from Mysore Medical College, he joined as lecturer in ENT at Mysore Medical College, Mysore. Subsequently, he served as assistant surgeon, lecturer at the Kidwai Memorial Institute of Oncology, Bangalore. He worked as professor at the Kidwai Memorial Institute of Oncology from 2007 onwards. He has received the UICC ICRET Fellowship in Head and Neck Oncology from Holland in the year 1999 and worked in Head and Neck Oncology at Tübingen University, Germany. He has attended several state, national CMEs, live workshops, conferences in Head and Neck Oncology as a faculty member. He has been a co-investigator in 3 head and neck clinical trials. He has over 25 national and international publications to his credit and has special interest in head and neck reconstruction. To moderate today's webinar, we have with us the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Yenapoya deemed to be University, Dr. M. Vijay Kumar, and Dr. K.S. Gangadhar Somayaji, the Registrar of Yenapoya deemed to be University and Professor in Otorhinolaryngology at Yenapoya Medical College. May I request the moderators to kindly take over the session.
Good afternoon, Nanjundappa, sir.
Yeah.
We both, myself and my Vice Chancellor, both of us are pleased to have you here. In fact, you are my teacher as well. I probably heard you for the last time many years ago for I think somewhere in the one of those conferences we met each other in Bangalore, and after that we did not have the opportunity to interact. Now it's again nice to be interacting with you, and we look forward your expert lecture on the management of difficult thyroid tumors. Sir, VC sir, may please say some things. Sir, you are muted, sir. VC sir, you are muted, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
No, I have some problem with my laptop, so I have to come out and I'm actually using my phone. That's why I asked, am I audible?
Yes, sir, your voice is very clear, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be there as a part of the webinar. And as I said in an informal talk with Dr. Nanjundappa, officially I have to say that this was supposed to have been held during last year. And Dr. Vijayalakshmi made a lot of arrangements along with Dr. Somayaji and others. In physical, we should have made a program where we are also supposed to have the live surgery. Unfortunately, because of the COVID pandemic, we have to postpone the whole thing. And I'm happy to have at least virtually everybody starting from today. And I'm very pleased to be moderating Dr. Nanjundappa, who has been my colleague for more than 30 years at Kidwai. And we have literally grown together, he and the head and neck area. And I was on the surgical oncology. And in the beginning days, we have worked together in the head and neck region also. And when I used to go there for helping them in their reconstructive work. That is how I got introduced to head and neck. And I started doing head and neck along with them. Thanks to them, I took over as oral oncology in charge after some time. Dr. Nanjundappa was one of the senior most head and neck surgeons in the state of Karnataka, and also he was one of the very few who started his career from the ENT background to move towards head and neck, much before even head and neck oncology has come out as a separate branch recognized by MCI. He did it almost 35 years ago. Welcome, Dr. Nanjundappa. I'm very happy to moderate you and hear you talking on the subject of the choice. Thank you very much. And we will be moderating, and most likely we will not be interrupting you. And people who are listening to him can write down their questions and come on the chat box. That will be the best way to moderate this sort of virtual meetings, I feel, if it is acceptable to Dr. Vijayalakshmi and Dr. Somayaji. Thank you very much for making me to be here.
Thank you very much, sir. We will moderate the question answer session at the end of Dr. Nanjundappa's talk. We will go through the chat box and put up the questions for him.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vijay Kumar, Dr. Gangadhar, Dr. Vijayalakshmi. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. M. Vijay Kumar, Vice Chancellor of Yanopia University. As you know very well, Dr. Vijay Kumar is a very well-known, most popular surgical oncologist across the country, not only in Karnataka, even across the country and the world. He was one of the dynamic director of Kidwai Memorial Institute of Oncology, where his administration was far superior and excellent. I was working with him as a colleague in the head and neck department. Since then, since many years, we were working together. I would like to thank Dr. Gangadhar, Registrar of Yanopia University, very well known to me, good friend of mine. I am very grateful to you for inviting me for this talk. Dr. Vijayalakshmi Deshpande, Dr. Vijayalakshmi, sorry. Probably Vijay Kumar is.
I almost thought that you are going to say that. Yes, you said it. That is why I laughed. Okay. Expected mistakes. Yeah.
Vijayalakshmi, Professor HOD of HOD of ENT Department at Yanopia University. I am thanking you for inviting me to give this opportunity. Thank you very much. Coming to the subject, you all know in our routine health practice, apart from seeing and treating simple benign thyroid tumors, sometimes we come across very difficult, complicated, advanced thyroid neoplasm, being a benign or a malignant. We come across very advanced, difficult thyroid tumors. In such situations, how to approach surgically and manage these patients. I would like to share some of my experiences in such situations. In this regard, I am going to discuss some of the advanced cases in the of their clinical presentation, investigations, and the surgery performed, including the follow-up and the prognosis. Today, I have selected this subject mainly for the sake of budding head and neck surgeons, be it from ENT background or a surgical background or surgical oncology background or head and neck oncology background. Those who are doing head and neck surgery may be beneficial. My talk may be beneficial to them. So today I'm speaking on difficult thyroid neoplasms and their surgical management. Next. Next. So for the management of such advanced tumors, we need a detailed evaluation, a careful planning, and a detailed counseling with the patient attendants. Next. The detailed evaluation means the perfect thorough head and neck clinical examination is the most important matter. You have to palpate the tumor, we have to palpate the neck tumor, see the consistency, size of the tumor, whether it moves with the deglutition, whether it is fixed during deglutition, is there any presence or absence of lymph nodes, size of the lymph nodes, mobility of the lymph nodes, and relation with these lymph nodes with the other tumor with the great vessels, whether the tumor is fixed to the great vessels. So all this information we will get on clinical examination itself. I am sure Dr. Vijay Kumar can understand the importance of clinical evaluation. In fact, for an experienced head and neck surgeon, just by clinical examination, evaluation, you'll come to know what type of surgery one can perform on that particular patient. In addition to clinical evaluation, we need a radiological like soft tissue X-ray neck. It gives a lot of information about the trachea, whether airway is free or not, and the deviation of the location of the trachea and relation with the trachea with the tumor, including the intubation. It gives a lot of anesthetist we can guide. I am going to discuss later on. Routine investigation like ultrasonography neck, imaging. I am sure in most of these advanced type of cases, we need imaging to know the extent of the tumor, to know the relation with the great vessels, as I've already told, how much it is encircled, how much it is infiltrated, how much extending to suprasternal notch, mediastinum, and the nodal presence or absence. It will give a much more information by imaging. And hormonal profile, whether we are dealing a euthyroid or hypothyroid or hyperthyroid, always better to make the patient euthyroid before venturing for surgery. And the baseline thyroglobulin, it is a prognostic implication after surgery. It gives a lot of importance while following up the patient. Serum calcium and serum calcitonin, sometimes you may require if it's clinically suspect medullary carcinoma. Next. So after thorough clinical, next please. After thorough clinical evaluation and the diagnosis. So, no, the previous one, sorry. A careful planning is very, very important. See, after clinical and radiological examination, we need to plan what type of surgery this particular patient requires, starting from the intubation, and method of approach is whether we can do a midline approach or a lateral approach. As you all know, in advanced thyroid tumors, it's always better to come from lateral to medial, taking care of the great vessels and doing the neck dissection if necessary, either functional neck dissection or radical neck dissection. So it's always, and better control of the bleeding before ligating all the vessels which are supplying to the tumor. So it's always safe coming from lateral to midline. It's always better. Sometimes this gives an excellent exposure to approach the tumor itself, primary tumor. We can, hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
I am not able to see the screen. So it's one can from lateral to medial approach. I am not seeing the screen. No.
No, we are able to see
Yeah, we are able to
Nanjundappa.
We are able to see. Maybe some network issue from your side, sir.
Even I am able to see in a different place sitting in Bangalore. I am able to see the screen.
Yes, sir. Even we can see, sir, here. Maybe I think he has some network issues. We'll have to probably call him and tell him that. No, we'll have to call him and probably.
Just call him on phone and check.
What we are doing, sir. We are doing.
Now I am getting the
Yes, sir.
screen.
Okay.
Now I am getting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine,
Next
fine.
slide, please. Next slide, please.
Change, sir. Already we have changed.
Then we have to be a thorough and detailed counseling with the patient attendants. In almost all complicated cases, this counseling makes a lot of difference. We should actually give the position and the situation to the patient attendants. What are the risks involved? What are the complications? Need of adjuvant therapy, radioactive iodine ablation. Sometimes even external radiotherapy may require, including the prognosis. We should explain to the patient attendants in detail. Next. So with this background, I would like to show some of the cases which I have come across and how I investigated and performed surgery, including the prognosis and the follow-up. This particular patient, a 45-year-old woman, she was asymptomatic. In fact, investigated by physician for fever. He just asked ultrasonography of the neck, and for his surprise, incidentally, they found out a extensive hypoechoic nodules involving both lobes of the thyroid with extensive retrosternal mass extending from the right lobe. Next. And these are the investigations I subjected. Ultrasonography as usual, these are the routine investigation we need to do for all thyroid. Ultrasonography neck, ultrasound guided FNAC, X-ray chest, X-ray neck. Each gives a lot of information, the thyroid hormonal profile. Next, CT scan. Actually, CT scan one should not do in any thyroid pathology. Always better to do MRI if necessary. But this patient, they came with a CT scan. You can see a X-ray AP and lateral deviated trachea in the upper mediastinum. Next, this is the CT scan finding. You can see a hypoechoic nodule involving the right lobe, pushing the trachea to one side, and same extension into the mediastinal not mediastinum, a retrosternal extension. You can see a nice encapsulated tumor extending from the right lobe down to the substernal area. Next. Next, please. Again, similar findings. Next, you can see the deviated trachea. So the ultrasound guided FNAC is reported as a benign lesion. Okay, in favor of multinodular goiter. Next. So this patient, I have done a excision of the total thyroidectomy with the excision of the retrosternal extended mass by transcervical approach, of course, keeping standby thoracic surgery. So in these are the types of cases, better you expose nicely, like how I have exposed the retracting sternocleido, carotid separating great vessels. You can see a thyroid nodule and the retrosternal extended mass. You can see. So most of the time, I'm sure Dr. Vijay Kumar and others, they agree. Most of this type of tumors, one can remove uh, in a neck extended position and with the help of finger dissection. Most of this type of tumors one can remove, taking care of any bleeding, any veins attached to this tumor, and how low it is extending. One has to be very careful. For an ENT setup, better to keep a standby thoracic surgeon. I am sure in most of the cases one can remove this type of tumors trans-cervical approach. Next, like this, I have with the finger dissection, I have removed the tumor. You can see a recurrent langia now down. Next. So you can see the specimen I have removed and bare neck up to the suprasternal notch. Next. This is the specimen. You can see a retrosternal substernal mass. Next. And final HPR is again confirmed as a multinodular goiter. It's a benign lesion. Next, post-operative period is uneventful. And the post-operative period is very much uneventful, and 15 years follow-up, patient is doing very well. Next. The reason why I have presented this case to our budding ENT and head and neck surgeon, the reason is most of the time, if you see this type of finding by imaging, and one can remove the tumor with an extended neck position carefully with a finger dissection, one can remove, but not all the time. We have to be very careful. Keeping a standby thoracic surgeon is always better. This is the reason why I have presented this case. One can attempt to do a trans-cervical approach without much. But the most important point, the tumor should be nicely encapsulated, preferably a benign lesions or ectopic thyroids. Goiters are much preferred tumors to deliver this type of approach. A malignant tumors which are fixed to the suprasternal notch, which are extending to mediastinum, one should not venture this type of procedures. So next case, this is another patient. I'm just presenting almost a similar type of tumor with a different imaging findings. A female patient aged 50 years presented with history of long-standing neck mass in the thyroid region, 10 years duration. In fact, this woman came all the way from Chennai. No history of dysphagia, no change of voice, no difficulty in breathing, formed hard mass involving right lobe thyroid, 4 into 4 centimeter, not moving with the deglutition, extending up to the clavicle, and finger could not be insinuate between the tumor, between the thyroid tumor and the clavicle. Of course, indirect laryngoscopy is very much normal. Next. These are the routine investigations I have asked, as I have already told. Next, to the previous patient. You can see an X-ray chest. There is a mild widening of the mediastinum, and trachea to some extent it is shifted. Next. So you can see a variable dense hypoechoic tumor involving the entire right lobe with a retrosternal extension. Next. You can see in a sagittal section, you can see a direct extension of the right thyroid mass retrosternally and even to the superior mediastinum. We can see up to the tumor is extending up to the pericardium and the aorta. Next. FNSA, again, it is in favor of a benign lesion, adenomatous hyperplasia. Next. So the surgery proposed in this particular case, after clinical evaluation and after imaging, I am sure that this particular patient was in need of a thoracic surgeon standby, and probably we need to do a sternotomy. Next. So surgery we performed as we thought a total thyroidectomy and excision of the sternal and superior mediastinal tumor via midline sternotomy approach along with thoracic surgeon. Next. So I started with a hemithyroidectomy. Next. This is how I have removed the thyroidectomy, right side with a good preservation of the parathyroids and the recurrent angina. Now you can see a darkish, pinkish, darkish tumor just above the clavicle. That is the tumor which is extending into the mediastinum. And we tried to palpate. It was a fixed tumor, and we have come to know that this cannot be delivered to the neck. Then we decided to do a sternotomy. That's the point where we took a decision to do a sternotomy. Of course, this patient was, I have assisted to sternotomy to Dr. Ganesh Naik. He is well-known cardiothoracic surgeon in Bangalore. Next is the one who did it. Next, so midline sternotomy, he did it with a sternal retractors, exposing the tumor. Next, and he has slowly delivered the tumor, exposing the superior mediastinum from the great vessels, from the perichondrium, bacocephalic vein, subclavian vein. Next, and he could be able to remove very satisfactorily. Next, this is the specimen he removed. Next, this is the sternotomy which has healed satisfactorily. And this is the specimen. This is the neck. Upper mass is a neck hemithyroid mass, and the lower mass is the mediastinal mass, along with the thymus, which came in his way. Then he has removed the thymus also. Next. So this is how we have removed. Next. This is the patient which went home without any problem. Next. So post-operative period is uneventful. 13 years follow-up. Patient is still doing very well. Next. So the reason for the presentation of this case, I am sure by seeing by clinical evaluation and by imaging, one should think that the need of a patient is in need of sternotomy and thoracotomy for the safe delivery of this tumor. Sometimes this procedure is very much needed for advanced medullary carcinoma, advanced papillary carcinoma with a presence of mediastinal lymph nodes. But that's a different scenario for the good clearance of the disease. But here, for the excision of the tumor with a to avoid all risk. Next, and detailed counseling of morbidity of sternotomy and their complication, one should explain to the patient attendants. Next. Is there another case I just want to present? This patient presented to us in this fashion. She developed a recurrent thyroid tumor, operated 20 years back. You can see a scar on the lower neck. She presented with and she had a diffuse soft to firm mass involving the entire neck from one side to the other side, from clavicle to the mandible, from mandible to the clavicle with a restricted mobility. In fact, it was moving very well with the deglutition. In fact, mechanically she had a little bit restricted mobility because mere size of the tumor, and indirect laryngoscopy or vocal cord mobility. Everything was fine. This is the imaging. You can see a tumor which encircled the trachea, lifted the trachea anteriorly and superiorly. In fact, glottis, by doing ideal, so glottis was seen superiorly and little bit deviated. So these are the cases. Next, you can see the trachea. These are the cases one should discuss with anesthetist prior to subjecting for surgery, because intubation itself is very, very important. We have to give our input, clinical input, even imaging input to them for the safety of the intubation. So imagine if they cannot intubate, I don't think there is a great risk to do tracheostomy as an emergency in this type of patient. So it's always better to discuss with the anesthetist, or sometime the awake intubation method. We may have video endoscope method of intubation may be indicated in this type of cases. Next. So it was not very difficult tumor, just because of the size we were worried, but otherwise I could able to do nicely, and patient went to, again it has come as adenomatous hyperplasia. Next. And went home without any problem. Next. So one should have, the reason for presentation of this case, one should have carefully planned this type of cases, starting from, as I told you, detailed counseling regarding the morbidity, the risk involved, intubation, and you have to inform anesthetist, and every effort should be made to preserve recurrent laryngeal and parathyroid. It's most important in such massive tumors. We have to be at any point, one should be very careful for the preservation of parathyroids. It may be displaced, the recurrent laryngeal node may be displaced. It gives lot of morbidity and lot of problem for the surgeon to manage this type of patient. So it's every effort should be made to preserve perfect preservation of the I know it's very difficult. Speaking is very easy. And in fact, preservation of parathyroid in such advanced cases is very, very difficult. But it's possible if you can, one can do a successful surgery if you take care. Next. I thought of showing this particular case, a male patient, 50 years age, presented with a history of long-standing neck mass in the thyroid region, 5 years duration, with a history of change of voice, 5 months duration, no other significant symptom, no history of dysphagia, difficulty in breathing. Next. Clinical find, this patient had an extensive firm to hard mass, 5 by 5 centimeter size, replacing the entire right lobe, extending to paratracheal, pretracheal region, filling the entire substernal notch up to the opposite sternocleidomastoid, and the mass not moving with the deglutition. In fact, this mass is fixed at the suprasternal notch. It is a fixed mass. And in addition, patient had a bilateral level 2, level 3, level 4 cervical lymph nodes with a restricted mobility. And indirect laryngoscopy was showing one cord was paralyzed and the other cord was moving, airway was adequate. This is how this patient presented. Next. This on the investigation proved to be a papillary carcinoma thyroid. And the MRI neck and mediastinum we have asked. Next. Next. And the neck nodes are also proved to be a metastatic deposits. This is the MRI picture. You can see a hyperintense tumor involving the entire right lobe, crossing to the midline, extending to the opposite side, filling the entire suprasternal notch, and the tumor is very much hard clinically, and it is fixed at this level. So this fixity, the mobility appreciation is the most important point to expect some complication while operating, and even improper clearance of the disease also one can expect in this type of cases. That's the reason why I'm presenting this case. Next. Again, trachea is deviated. You can see a irregular tumor which is present at the suprasternal notch close to the great vessels. Next. Next. And the surgery proposed, I thought of doing a bilateral neck dissection. And as usual, I have explained the counsel to the patient regarding the need of tracheostomy, because already one vocal cord is fixed and the tumor is fixed at the suprasternal notch extending to the opposite side. And the risk of sternotomy for the clearance of the suprasternal mass was explained preoperatively. The of course, the need of radioactive ablation also I have considered. Next. So surgery, we did bilateral neck dissection, FND, functional neck dissection, total thyroidectomy with excision of suprasternal mass. In fact, I expected a lot of complication. In fact, I'm lucky to escape tracheostomy, and there was no need of sternotomy, and preservation of opposite recurrent angina was satisfactory. Even preservation of parathyroids are very satisfactory. Next. We felt very happy at the end of the surgery. This is how the tumor is plastered. You can see how it's plastered from one side to the other side. Next, with great difficulty, I have separated from the great vessels. Unfortunately, we got the opposite recurrent angina now very satisfactorily. You can see the opposite recurrent angina now. And finally, I have removed the tumor with a good. Next. Next, with a fairly satisfactory clearance of the disease, you can see the tumor impression on the tracheal rings up to the suprasternal notch. And it was, in fact, this is the area tumor was adherent. And you can see the specimen, the impression on the tracheal rings. And ultimately, the recurrent angina was preserved, and parathyroid on the opposite side was preserved very satisfactorily. That's why we escaped. Next. Next, and received radioactive ablation therapy, except change of voice because of the vocal cord paralysis preoperatively. Otherwise, patient 10 years follow-up doing very well. Next. So the reasons for the presentation of this case, such advanced disease with a long-standing preoperative vocal cord paralysis and a fixed paratracheal, pretracheal, suprasternal mass infiltrating with a bilateral node needs detailed counseling regarding the morbidity, the high risk involved, the need of sternotomy, as I have repeatedly told, and even the possibility of de-differentiation, which might have undergone. I know you all know it is a prognostical is very poor. We have to better to counsel prior to do the surgery in this type of cases. Next. This is another papillary carcinoma, very much advanced. You can see this is how it presented. The MRI is showing irregular mass, involving the right lobe, pushing the vessels, encircling the vessels, and even pushing the larynx to one side. Next. Proved to be a papillary carcinoma. Next. And this the patient I did, in fact, I have planned my clinical evaluation itself. I have come to know this patient, probably we can better venture like an R&D approach. So you can see the tumor which is adherent all around. Just because I approached like an R&D, I could separate the tumor from the carotid structures. You can see the common carotid vagus is so much edematous and fixed to the trachea and the larynx. Fairly satisfactory clearance I could do just because of doing a radical neck dissection. And the recurrent larynx were both preserved very well. And the reason why I have presented this case, see, in all thyroid, in most of the scenarios, one has to, for the neck rods, one can do a functional neck dissection. But here in this type of situation, sometimes in a very advanced tumor, where in this situation, better to do radical neck dissection. It helps for the better clearance of the disease, as well as for you technically, you can deliver and clear the tumor much better. So, not that in thyroid R&D is not indicated, it's very much indicated depending on the cases. That's the reason why I presented this case. Next. So, he also received radioactive ablation, and initially he had worseness probably because of handling of the vagus nerve. Vagus was pushed and to one side, maybe that's the reason. Later on, his voice became normal. Next. And he's doing perfectly all right for 1 year. Another interesting case I want to show. So in fact, today I'm presenting not any clinical data or statistical data. I'm just presenting my experience in such advanced cases. Uh, uh, that's all. Surgically, how one can approach, how can deliver, and how can do a good resection with a good prognostic value. That is my technically how easy, how difficult. That's my purpose of presentation today. So this particular patient, a 60-year-old man, presented with a history of long-standing mass in the neck. Before coming to us, he was seen and evaluated by orthopedic surgeon for a mass, painful mass in the iliac region. And he was limping with a radiating pain. MRI pelvic and thoracic region shows multiple lytic lesion in the right iliac, lumbar, and sacral region. Next.
ನುಂಗಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
So this is the clinical.
ನುಂಗಿ
It is coming. The video is coming.
ನುಂಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲ ನುಂಗಿ
Video is not coming here. You just put the video. Is it possible to show video, Gangadhar? Otherwise, nothing to worry.
ನುಂಗಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನುಂಗಿ
Next, please.
ನುಂಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲ ನುಂಗಿ
Next. Dr. Harsh, next slide, please. Next, yeah. This is the imaging. A true cut biopsy from the iliac mass is reported as previous slide, reported as follicular carcinoma, follicular thyroid metastatic lesion. At this stage, patient was referred to us. In fact, when he presented to us, he had after investigation, we have come to know he had a mild to moderate thyrotoxicosis. And then he was treated by endocrinologist and brought to a euthyroid status. Next. This is the MRI finding. You can see a huge mass and the shift of the trachea and the sagittal section. You can see the findings with the cystic degeneration and solid component variable density. Next, with a minimal substernal extension. You can see a gross deviation of the trachea to one side. Next. And this is the lytic metastatic lesion in the sacrum and iliac region. MRI, even the spine, you can see a variable, multiple metastatic lytic lesion in the bone. Next. So this is the follicular, finally confirmed as follicular carcinoma with the multiple bony metastasis. In fact, patient underwent total thyroidectomy and tumor was very highly vascular. We took really 5 to 6 hours. In fact, our endocrinologist wanted to give Lugol's iodine to control bleeding or even to avoid thyroid. He didn't give Lugol's iodine, and recurrent langino-parathyroid preservations were very satisfactory in spite of such a big tumor. Extubation is satisfactory and the post-operative period is uneventful. Next. Video, please. This is how I have attempted. If it comes, you show, otherwise not necessary. Are you getting the video? Otherwise, nothing to worry. You can proceed. So this the problem is, in spite of good surgery and avoiding thyroid hormone replacement for a period of 1 month, his TSH level has not risen. probably because of the active release of hormones from the functioning multiple metastatic bony lesions. But we discussed with the nuclear medicine specialist. They went ahead and gave a radioactive ablation. In spite of this, patient has received a postoperative iodine ablation twice with an excellent response. Patient became asymptomatic and able to walk comfortably. He is on follow-up 1 year doing well. Next. This is the pre-operative and the post-operative scan findings. You can see in the neck, there is no lesion seen except minimal residual disease at the iliac and the pelvic region. Next. This is the post-operative picture. Video is there. I don't know. I am not sure it is coming. Don't worry about that. He became very well, and he didn't have any post-operative complications, and he went home without much problem. Another patient, an insular variant of papillary carcinoma, very advanced. I just want to show this particular patient. A male patient aged 55 years presented with history of change of voice for the past 5 years. Swelling front of the neck 3 months, duration insidious and progressive, and no other significant symptoms except little bit noisy breathing. When you ask, you used to tell there is minimal noisy breathing. That is all. Next. So clinical findings, he had a firm to hard nodular mass completely replacing the left lobe, pushing the left sternocleidomastoid laterally. These are the findings. And medially the mass extending to the isthmus and towards the mass moves on deglutition with a minimal restricted mobility. Next. And the reason why I am presenting this particular case, if a patient with presented with a vocal cord paralysis, particularly the ENT specialties, they may see routine indirect laryngoscopy, and if they see a paralyzed vocal cord, one of the differential diagnoses, one should evaluate the thyroid, at least go behind the patient and palpate the neck to rule out any thyroid pathology. Probably this patient went to an ENT surgeon 5 years back. They told it is idiopathic vocal cord paralysis, and he didn't go to any doctor later on. And he presented with this mass and the tumor infiltrating into the larynx and trachea. Next. So you keep in your mind vocal cord paralysis, we should rule out the thyroid pathology. Next. So if again FNS is confirmed as a papillary carcinoma, we did a bronchoscopy. There was a smooth mass far below the subglottic area, pinkish mass, though there was not a fungating tumor. There is a smooth bulge was there. Upper GI endoscopy was revealed normal. Next. See, these are the cases we need to do a bronchoscopy and we need to do upper endoscopy. You can see a MRI finding an extensive tumor involving the entire left lobe, extending to the opposite side, lifting the larynx and the esophagus anteriorly, extending to the opposite. In fact, left lobe of the tumor extending to the opposite side. With still a normal mobile vocal cord on the opposite side, with a fixed vocal cord on the ipsilateral side. Next. This is the X-ray neck lateral view. Next. The same picture, advanced lesion from the left lobe. FNS is proved to be a papillary carcinoma. We did a ultrasound, next bronchoscopy and endoscopy. We, in fact, by seeing the findings.
Dr. Nanjundappa, you are not audible.
Okay. Sorry. But now, Dr. Vijay, can you hear?
Yes.
Now, by seeing the clinical findings and the imaging findings, I proposed this type of surgeries, and I did a detailed counseling with the patient. In fact, this patient was a bank manager. I proposed a total thyroidectomy with the preservation of the opposite recurrent laryngeal node to attempt to preserve the larynx in addition to doing a total thyroidectomy. That was one surgery I proposed. And the next surgery, I proposed a total thyroidectomy and a total laryngectomy for a better clearance. And even to the extent of gastric pull-up if the tumor is infiltrating into the strap muscles, esophagus. So with this, we ventured, we did a total thyroidectomy and a total laryngectomy at the primary closure of the pharynx. Next. So you can see, next, you can see a recurrent laryngeal nerve on the opposite side, though I could able to see and preserve properly. But you can see adjacent to that a tumor, in fact, it is from the other side, lifting the larynx anteriorly, it is presented to the contralateral side. And then I came to know there's no possibility of preserving the larynx, and I went to opposite side. Next, at this stage, I went to the opposite side and I started dissecting the tumor. Next, resecting the tumor and separating from the great vessels. And the next, the recurrent laryngeal nerve, anyway, it is fixed in this side, I have removed. Next, so I came to know we are dealing a fixed tumor which is fixed to the larynx and the upper trachea. Then at this stage, in fact, once again, I went outside, I did a detailed counseling to the patient because he was a bank manager. I said, there's no possibility of preserving the larynx. In fact, I did a total thyroidectomy and a total laryngectomy. Next. Next. You can see, and this is the specimen, you can see a smooth bulge subglottically and infiltrating the tracheal rings. Next. And is the patient, he is almost 5 years. It reported as an insular variant of papillary carcinoma. Patient received radioactive iodine ablation. He's on follow-up 5 years with the use of electrolarynx. Next, he's speaking very well. In fact, he's still doing his duty. He's still a bank manager. If there's a video, probably I would have showed how he is speaking. Probably you just try the video. Is it there? Okay. Okay, I think it is not there. Nothing to worry. He's speaking very well with the electrolarynx. Next. Next, please. Next, please. So another patient presented with a bilateral neck nodes, hard fixed tumor with a bilateral vocal cord fixed in the paramedian position, presented in fact with a stridor, moderate to severe stridor. Next, this is how he presented. This is the CT scan finding. In fact, it is confirmed to an FNAC confirmed as papillary carcinoma, not the other way, a laryngeal tumor presenting into the neck. In fact, it was confirmed by FNAC at the neck mass as well as neck node. They have reported as papillary carcinoma, and he had a bilateral fixed vocal cord with a suspicious tumor. We did a tracheostomy and then started planned for a total laryngectomy. Next. So I did a next slide. I did a total thyroid. You can see a tumor within the previous slide. This is the surgery I did. In fact, recurrent laryngeal both are fixed on either side. I did a laryngectomy. Next. Follow-up 12 years, patient was fine. But later on, it developed on 10th, 12th year, it developed a recurrence at the P segment. In fact, on the table when I am operating, my clearance from the anterior wall of the esophagus, it was not very great. In fact, I have shaved off the tumor from the surface of the esophageal muscles. Though I could achieve total laryngectomy and did a nice primary closure. In fact, probably that is the reason why it developed, in spite of ablation, in spite of external radiotherapy, it developed a recurrence at the P segment probably this patient would have required a gastric pull-up on the day one itself. Maybe he would have done much better. Now I am realizing, and 12th year, he has 10th to 12th year is presented with a recurrence at the P segment. Next. And this is how he presented. He was not willing for any revision surgery in the form of a gastric pull-up. Of course, I was also not very keen. Then we did a PEG, ease and PEG. In fact, till the last follow-up, he was able to swallow liquids. Now he is not unable to swallow because the tumor is blocking the P segment, infiltrating the carotid. The reason for the presentation of these cases, we do get such advanced cases, needed bilateral neck dissection, total thyroidectomy, total laryngectomy, to the extent of total laryngopharyngoesophagectomy, even to the extent of gastric pull-up, as I've told you. It's worth operating in differentiated cancer in spite of such advanced nature, followed by radioactive ablation. Still, the prognosis is much better. In all these cases, preservation of parathyroids are, of course, recurrent, are very, very important to avoid post-operative complication. Next. So this is the one lesson I learned. See, clinically, this patient was presented like this, even imaging-wise presented like this, with a deviated septum. FNAC was not conclusive. They just gave us carcinoma, not as undifferentiated thyroid. Long history of duration. Next, I did a good clearance, satisfactory clearance, a radical neck dissection, and with a good preservation of the recurrent lancer. Now, next. Next. I think this is how I removed the tumor fairly satisfactorily. Next. With the preservation of recurrent and parathyroid. In fact, to my surprise, this patient developed recurrence while receiving radiotherapy in spite of doing satisfactory surgery. While receiving radiotherapy itself, she came back with recurrence. This shows how aggressive these differentiated tumors. So better not to venture this undifferentiated or a differentiated or anaplastic carcinoma. This is also a similar case. Next, presented like this. Of course, 15 years history. Because of the history, I did a surgery on this man. FNAC was inconclusive about the final histopathology. Next. Next slide. Next. I did this surgery when I was at Kidwai. This is the imaging. Next. And this is how I did. Next. The R&D type of approach. I could do a good resection. Of course, this patient didn't come, though he received a radioactive ablation, finally reported as papillary carcinoma. He didn't come for follow-up. Next. Received next. So in conclusion, in all difficult thyroid tumors, the care, as I've already mentioned repeatedly, careful clinical, radiological, imaging, preoperative, diagnostic evaluation is most important. It gives a lot of information how to go about of this type of tumors. And careful approach of these patients after detailed counseling regarding the morbidity, the risk involved, the risk of tracheostomy, risk of recurrent nerve paresis, paralysis. Hypoparathyroidism is the most important point we have to stress. The need of adjuvant therapy, radioactive ablation, external RT, including prognosis. Nowadays, even the chemotherapy also is suggested, but how much it is really benefiting by comparing the cost, still not yet confirmed. Next. So again, in conclusion, all difficult thyroid tumors, every attempt should be made, repeatedly I am maybe telling, every attempt should be made to preserve the recurrent lesion of parathyroids. The success of this surgery is complete clearance of the disease, perfect preservation of the parathyroids, and the perfect preservation of the recurrent language now. In advanced cases, we may have to do tracheal resection with anastomosis. Of course, I have not come across such cases which are confined to the tracheal infiltration, which needed either the resection anastomosis. I have not come across such cases. In fact, many cases, in such advanced cases, the pharyngeal constrictors, there will be esophageal infiltration, laryngeal infiltration will be there associated with this infiltrated tracheal lesion. Resection anastomosis, I know literature wise, there are a lot of people, they have done the resection anastomosis, but I have not come across. So laryngectomy and rarely even total laryngopharyngoesophagectomy may require, as I've already repeated. Thank you very much for the next slide. Thank you very much for the patience hearing. If there are any questions, I would, Dr. Vijay Kumar, I need your comment about my.
Yeah, I am listening. I was listening carefully and I was very happy to hear and the way you approach saying that taking the case presentations and explaining how to handle the difficult thyroid swellings. And many times I had to do a manubrine sternum excisions and also manubrine sternum splitting. Apart from doing a regular mid-sternotomy incision, we can probably, in some situations of the superior mediastinum, can get away with a limited manubrine sternum division. That's the only thing I wanted to add, because you have covered about the mid-sternotomy, complete sternotomy. Yes, that is required in many cases, but in a few cases, you can get away with only the manubrine sternum, either any manubrine sternum removal or a mid-split, where it will open up the moment you split, you can go nicely and remove it, because the anterior superior mediastinum, the involvement of the lymph nodes also is another issue, apart from whatever you have shown as a retrosternal goiter going in. But there will be cases where the anterior superior mediastinum, so-called level 7, involvement of the lymph nodes from the thyroid will also make a case for a good sternal dissection. That is one thing which I wanted to add, apart from whatever you have said, and we have done a very good job. Thank you very much for that. And anybody who has got any questions, you are welcome. Gangadhar? Dr. Gangadhar?
No, yes, sir. Yes, sir, I can.
No, any other comment?
Yes, sir. Nanjundappa, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Gangadhar.
Sir, actually, now your videos can be shared, sir, if you want, because the presentation actually now we have closed, and the videos can be shared from a separate folder. If you want, we can do it, sir, still.
If time permits, you should show.
Yes, sir. Time
if
is
time is not a concern, I think you should show the patient should, sorry, the people should listen to them.
Yeah, if possible, you can show the videos.
Yes, sir. This I think
Possible,
you can also see, sir.
kindly show.
With electoral
I have sent these videos on email to your Dr. Vijayalakshmi.
Yes, sir. The videos are here. Now, one video is on the screen. The person using video larynx for talking after post laryngectomy.
Yeah. We'll listen to him.
You can give the audio also.
Yes, sir. We are audio in the system. We check, please.
Audio is there?
Yes, sir. We are checking.
ಬ್ಯಾಟರಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಅಂತ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದರದ್ದು
ಬೇಗ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ
ಇದ್ರೊಳಗಡೆ ಇರೋದು
ಇದೆ ಇದು ಡ್ರೋನ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ
ಓಕೆ
ಅದು
ಅದನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ತರಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾ
ಅದು ಮತ್ತೆ 3500 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಇದು 200 ರೂಪಾಯಿ
ಇನ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಎ ಸರ್ವಾಕ್ಸ್ larynx
ಬೇಗ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ
ಇದ್ರೊಳಗಡೆ ಇರೋದು ಈ
ಹೌದು.
ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗಲ್ವಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದನೇ ತರ್ಬೇಕು.
ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದು?
ಅದು 3800 ಅರೌಂಡ್.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ.
ಇಲ್ಲ.
In fact, he is a bank manager. He is with this. He is doing his work. He has not got retired still.
Also nicely seen. Another video you can play.
One important message.
Sir, Sir Vijay Kumar sir, your audio
is not clear.
We should know is now concentrating. We are going. Hello.
Vijay Kumar, your audio is not clear.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you please carry on. There is some problem, I think. Please carry on.
Yes, sir. There is some connectivity issue with your.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Meanwhile, we will show one more video, sir.
Yeah.
ನುಂಗಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
This is a follicular carcinoma with multiple metastases.
ನುಂಗಿ
20 years history. He has kept this mass, allowing to grow to such size. Really developed.
ನುಂಗಿ ಓಕೆ. ತಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರೇನು ಹೇಳಿ? ಸುಬ್ಬಾರಾವ್. ಧ್ವನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇನು ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ. ಊಟ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ತೊಂದರೆ? ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಪದಾರ್ಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿ. ಊಟ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ. Okay. See, this patient had a long-standing 20 years history of
Highly vascular.
Action. Thyroid mass, and he presented actually for the limping. It's MOP. Then it proved to be a follicular carcinoma from the iliac metastatic lesion. They did a two-cut biopsy. From there, they approved it as follicular carcinoma. And this patient has got multiple metastatic lesion in the iliac bone, lumbar spine, sacral spine, and even the neck. And now we are doing a total thyroidectomy. This is actually one side. And this is a little bit substernal extension, this mass, but it has come out without any, just by extension it has come out. But the only thing, this tumor is highly vascular. You can see the veins like internal jugular tributaries and highly vascular. We took a very long time to control the bleeding, and this is the area which is occupied. This is the area which is occupied like this. Then we have removed tumor, and of course there is a compression of the opposite push and the compression of the trachea and the larynx. This is the larynx. This is the trachea, and this is the nerve. So you can see the nerve. Where is the right? Light. See, that is the nerve. You can see. That is the nerve. With difficulty, we could able to preserve till his entry into cricopharynx. See, this is the nerve. This is the nerve. You can see. See, this is the nerve. Okay. And then now we wanted to remove opposite thyroid, but it is bleeding. That's the reason I am just cutting the isthmus and then doing the opposite thyroid. Okay.
Hello, Gangadhar?
You can hear me, sir?
Yeah, I am hearing.
Yes, sir.
Audible.
There are some questions asked by the audience. Shall we read out, sir?
Yeah, you can ask questions.
Sir, thank you very much for that very informative and interesting presentation. Dr. Sheetal Rai, Associate Professor in the Department of ENT and Appoya Medical College, will now moderate the audience questions. She has noted them down and she will be putting it before you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. There are a few questions from our
A
participants.
little louder, please, Gangadhar. Not able to hear.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Dr.
Not-
Sheetal, our associate professor, will moderate this, sir. She will.
Okay.
She will read out the question, sir.
So the first question is whether you would do any modification in the incision when you do a lateral to medial dissection in thyroidectomy.
Modification means, you see, this is not a strict rule. See, in such advanced cases, you might have seen already, approaching lateral to medial is always superior. The most important point in the neck, taking care of the great vessels and separation of the great vessel, safety of the internal jugular vein and the carotid artery is very, very important. Then the even exposure of the parathyroids and the recurrent angina coming from lateral to medial is much more better. And of course, it gives a good exposure for the better clearance. I think such advanced cases approach from instead of doing a classical midline approach, you can't approach this type of cases from midline like how we are doing regularly for a simple thyroidectomy, getting the midline, separating the strap muscles, and we are removing the nodules. In a classical midline approach, it's very difficult to use such type of approaches in this type of advanced cases.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Vijay Kumar.
Yeah. See, to answer his question in otherwise, there is no need for change of incision. Incision remains the same, whatever he was doing. After raising the flaps of the subplatysmal plane, instead of you people going from midline to lateral, he is suggesting lateral to medial. That is, you will be going medial to the sternomastoid area, go into the space there, identify the internal jugular vein, identify the common carotid, and from there he moves towards the midline. That's what he meant by lateral to medial approach. That is nothing to do with the skin incision. Skin incision remains the same, and it's a good adequate incision is required, which is dictated by the size of the tumor many times. But it will be a sort of skin crease incision, and the transverse, the length of the incision is depending on the tumor. Once you are raised, a good adequate exposure is made in the subplatysmal plane, then you will approach the cervical fascia, not cutting the cervical fascia, opening it up in the midline. Instead, you go to the lateral aspect of the tumor, that is in line with the anterior border of the sternomastoid. Then you will be going lateral approach. That is what is called as lateral approach of the tumor. That is, you identify the internal jugular vein first, carotid next, then you take the tumor towards the midline. That is what he is repeatedly telling us, lateral approach.
Technically, it is much more easier to approach this type of, like as you said, incision is not a matter. Depending on the cases, we can modify the incision.
The next question, sir, is the participant wants to know whether you
Not audible clearly.
Am I audible now, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk on the mic. Take the mic to your hand. Take the mic to your hand. Take the mic in your hand.
She is doing, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the question is,
I'm seeing.
yes, sir. The question is whether you would always prefer to do an MRI for a thyroid lesion.
No, if any imaging is required, is always preferred to do MRI rather than CT scan. You all know by CT
Why?
scan, because of the stunning
Iodine,
effect,
iodine stunning effect.
stunning effect of post-operative ablation. Because of stunning effect, we always they preferred MRI rather than CT scan.
Actually, scanning may not be always necessary, sir.
Correct.
If at all preferred,
Correct.
MRI
It is necessary. It is not
Correct.
necessary.
Correct.
But if it is required, better to do an MRI rather than the CT scan.
Yes, sir.
No, the correct answer for that would be for the sake of PGs. If it is a mobile thyroid, there is no need for any imaging. As you repeatedly said again and again, a good clinical examination is important. He said, if you remember his many 2 or 3 first slides. So good clinical examination will suggest what is happening. Then when will you go for a imaging at all? Very large tumor, immobile, or nodes which are fixed. Particularly, you wanted to know what is happening to the extrathyroidal organ, namely great vessels of the neck, internal jugular vein, particularly carotid. On the other side, trachea. If there is a problem that you are going to have problem with this imaging. Having decided about the imaging, then what imaging to be done? The question is that the what imaging, if you decide, means he is telling again and again, MRI is superior to CT scan. That is all. MRI is not required for all cases. If that is the question, answer is MRI or any other imaging is not required for all cases. You will choose the imaging only in a particular cases, as Dr. Somayaji said.
That is true.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, what are the novel strategies to undifferentiated carcinoma and medullary carcinomas?
See, the undifferentiated.
question is, what are the
I am not
strategies
able to. I
for
could not able to understand the question.
The person is asking, what are the novel treatment strategies for undifferentiated carcinoma and medullary carcinoma?
Okay. Of course, medullary carcinoma.
He is talking of.
Oh.
No. He is trying to talk about non-surgical procedures. What are coming as TKI inhibitors? The small molecules which are been introduced recently. If I am correct.
Okay. No, the treatment option is the same, but if at all, better to avoid in undifferentiated anaplastic type of tumor. You better to avoid surgery itself. That's what I showed one case. But in medullary carcinoma, one has to be very aggressive. We have to do because there is no second line of modality in this patient. We can't. They are all not radioablative lesions. So we have to do a radical neck dissection and a total clearectomy. There is a node. Otherwise, a radical clearance of the primary is very, very important, because we don't have next option of treatment in medullary carcinoma. There are also very aggressive lesions. Of course, there are a lot of classification of medullary carcinoma itself. It's a different, altogether a different entity. What I said, undifferentiated means the differentiated tumor sometime for over a period of time you undergo de-differentiation.
Yeah.
Such tumors one can do surgery. Whereas the de novo de-differentiation is nothing but anaplastic carcinoma. So in such advanced anaplastic carcinoma, we should not operate. A papillary carcinoma which are undergoing over a period of time de-differentiation, like tall cell variety, earth cell variety, and undifferentiated tumors, we can operate, but with expecting a poor prognosis. Like insular variant, what I said, it's one of the de-differentiated tumor. Probably his prognosis will not be great. He may come back with recurrence.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is, will there be a change in the approach to a retrosternal tumor based on the classification, sir?
Pardon? I am not able to hear loud. Please louder.
Yeah, will you have approach a retrosternal tumor differently based on the classification of the tumor?
Sir, probably what he is asking is like what type of retrosternal tumors you would like to go for sternal split, and till what level, what stage of retrosternal you can do away. That is the question, sir.
No, there is no definite classification for this. In fact, on the table findings are very important. See, of course, there is a latest, there is some classification up to this level, up to such a level, one can venture a finger dissection. But here entirely depends upon, as I mentioned, what are your findings on the table is very, very important. So most of the time, imaging also gives added advantage for you. So we can remove the tumors trans-cervical approach, keeping the standby thoracic surgeon. There's no need to split the sternum to avoid the morbidity. But in some cases, definitely, as I showed the other case, it needs a sternotomy, and we should not uh, venture by trans-cervical approach. There is no definite demarcation. Of course, imaging gives a lot of information. I think Dr. Vijay Kumar can add much more.
Yeah, what I would suggest here is for all the PGs, when you are seeing a large tumor in the thyroid, particularly they are coming with the imaging which is suggesting a retrosternal extension, a very good clinical test would be make a patient lie down with 1 or 2 pillows below the scapula so that hyperextension can occur in the neck. When hyperextension occur in the neck, you can see feel whether the lowermost part of the thyroid swelling is coming up or at least coming more than what it was on the other side, when otherwise supine position. Then you know this sort of tumors can easily removable in a trans-cervical approach only. This is number one. This is going to be decided clinically, as he said. How do you do that? When the patient lying down with a pillow, one or more below the scapula, not on the neck, so that it gets hyperextended. And the second thing is when you are seeing the scans, when you see the tumor in the retrosternum is going well below, that is below the manubrium sterni, well below, then you should be really worried that whether you are going to get it out transcervically only or not. And the third most important thing I added, now I am repeating, the transcervical approach, you are able to not get it when you are, instead of doing a full sternotomy, you can do what is called as partial sternotomy. By the manubrium sterni alone you cut, you can still come out. The second most important thing is, are we dealing with a benign tumor like multinodular goiter, etc., or you are really dealing with a malignancy is another issue. If you are dealing with a multinodular goiter, most of the time, if not all the time, most of the time, with your transcervical incision, however large it might be, if you can put your finger in a correct plane, slowly if you can mobilize, it will come. It will come. Most of the time, what you thought difficult on a scan, you will be surprised to see on the table that you will be able to deliver it transcervically only. But the most important part, what he is trying to tell is, be careful, don't be over enthusiastic, and try to remove everything transcervical. When to take the help of for sternotomy or not. That is the point is important. And if you are in doubt, always keep the backup or help. When you are thinking that you can get away, yes, you do it. These things usually come with your more and more experience. And when you are in doubt, I'm repeatedly telling, take the help. When you are in doubt, take the help. That's all.
Yes, sir. I agree with you, sir. In fact, most of the benign thyroid masses, it's our experience that we could deliver the mass into the neck and we remove without any sternotomy. However, as Dr. Nanjundappa said, it's always be on the cautious side and keep your thoracic surgeon informed and keep him as a standby.
Yeah, that's the message.
Thank you very much, sir. Since there are no more questions, I request the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Yanapaya Deemed to be University, Dr. M. Vijay Kumar, to kindly give his concluding remarks.
In fact, we were planning to felicitate Dr. Nanjundappa in the physical program. That is what we were planning. But unfortunately, we are meeting on virtually. We are not having the chance of felicitating legally. I only hope we can quickly meet sometime and we will do the honors of felicitating him as a senior head and neck surgeon of the state of Karnataka. So I only hope an opportunity will come soon.
Yes, sir. In fact, I spoke
Yeah.
to
Vijay Kumar, there is no need of honoring me. This itself is a great honor. Don't worry about at all. I'm so happy that you have invited me for this presentation.
No,
That
no.
itself a great honor.
No, I'm only telling that we were planning to do so, but unfortunately due to COVID, we could not do it.
Yes, sir. Probably.
Thank you very much for being with us, Dr. Nanjundappa.
Live surgery, that would have been better. It's okay. It's all right. Nothing.
Yeah, correct. We will do sometime. We will definitely do sometime. We will be inviting you, and also we will be happy if you can come and help us in our advanced surgical skill enhancement division lab, where we are planning to train our PGs and other trainees, younger surgeons in ENT and head and neck workshops, both in live OT, human OT, as well as in animal. We will be doing something. Hopefully, when the pandemic comes down, I'm sure you will participate at that time physically, and I wish to see you physically back at our Yanapaya University sometime or the other. And on behalf of the Department of ENT and on behalf of the university, I am very happy to and thank you for being with us and spending your time and sharing your experience in advanced thyroid malignancy with all the PGs. I'm sure they would have taken a lot of hints and tips and tricks from you, and it will be very, very useful for them. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vijay Kumar. Thank you, Gangadhar. Thank you, Vijayalakshmi.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of Department of Otorhinolaryngology, Head and Neck Surgery and Yen Onco Center, I thank Dr. Nanjundappa for his excellent presentation. I also thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. M. Vijay Kumar, and our Registrar, Dr. Gangadhar Somayaji, for moderating this session. I thank all the participants who have been with us through this session today. And I would like to inform everyone that this is a series of webinars which we are taking up. This was the first one, and we hope to meet you again next Saturday at 2 p.m. And we also request your feedback. The link for the feedback has been shared in the chat box. Kindly give us your feedback. Once again, I thank one and all my colleagues in the department for their support in coordinating this series. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.